Well, friends, I watched Dragon Ball Evolution, so you didn't have to, because it's not very good. DBE, or as I like to call it, literal garbage.
This is who you are.
This movie is so bad. This movie is so bad. I didn't think this movie is really bad. And like, I will say, because I always have something nice to say. Was it entertaining? You bet. Was I entertained? You bet your bottom dollar I was. But was it good? No, we can't say that. We can't say it was good because it was just simply, it was not good. No. However, I was entertained. And for a few hours of enjoyment, what really more can I say? You know, that's something. That's something. Dragon Ball Evolution. The year is 2009. And I'm asking myself, how now in 2023 did I not see this 2009 movie? Why did it happen? Who is it for? Because I'll tell you what, it sure as heck is not for me, and I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I don't think it was for Dragon Ball fans, but I don't really know who it was for because it's also not good. So just as a story by itself, if we take the Dragon Ball out of it, how did this movie cost $30 million?
You serve me.
And why did more of that budget not go into the green screens that they're constantly using in this? Because the green screens look terrible. We could do better green screen on my channel. I know it's 2009, but like, it's 2009. It wasn't that long ago. This movie feels like it looks like it's from 2001. Okay, so let's talk about this. So basically the story is around Goku, and Goku is basically trying to save the world from Piccolo, and Goku's kind of like this chosen one sort of, but he's also just really good at fighting, and he learns everything from his grandpa Gohan, and he's gonna beat up Piccolo. And if you're wondering, because we were actually watching this with someone that was confused by the fact that we're fighting Piccolo because Piccolo is a good guy, this is actually like Piccolo Senior, I believe. He's like a bad guy, and yeah, this isn't the Piccolo that you may know that's actually like kind of like Goku's pal. Also, I'm pretty sure that happens later, but I digress. Basically, this Piccolo, bottom line, he's an evil Piccolo, okay? And if you're like, wait, what? That is a thing, that is normal, so we're not gonna talk about that being bad, but we will talk about everything else to do with Piccolo being bad. But first, let's talk about characterizations in general, and ones I actually liked. Were there any I liked? I will say maybe Bulma, kinda liked that a little bit. Grandpa Gohan was actually great, which is probably why they killed him off right at the beginning, because goodness knows I can't have a character that I actually enjoy who actually seems like he cares about the movie. So he dies early, and I actually kind of liked Roshi. Roshi was alright, you know? Gohan was the best one, Grandpa Gohan, but they kill him like very shortly after you meet him. But he actually seems the only one that actually like gives a shit about what he's saying and any of what's happening. The one thing I will say about these characters, a lot of them are just basically boiled down to one trait. And I know this is Dragon Ball Z and people might say the characters aren't that complex. But guess what, friends? The characters are kind of complex in Dragon Ball Z. They're not just one-note characters. And I think that, yeah, it's a bit of a disservice to all the story has done with them to just boil them down to one trait. Yamcha just becomes a dude bro, which like, Yamcha is kind of a dude bro, I would say, but that's all he is in this movie. Like, that's it. Like, that's his whole characterization. Dude bro. That's all he's got. One thing. What are you? I'm a dude bro. Uzaru is part of it, but basically is shoehorned in. There's a recap at the beginning about, you know, Uzaru's role and being Piccolo's ally, and all that's mentioned in this, like, kind of just, this is the legend of Piccolo and what he did and how he was a bad guy at the beginning. Goku has visions of him as Uzaru, but Goku also has no tail, and he just kind of randomly becomes him at the end. I mean, I guess he did have visions, but like, he has no tail. So you're kind of like, wait, is that what they're gonna do actually with it? And then they do it, and then you're kind of just confused, and it just feels shoehorned in, even though I know it was introduced at the beginning, so maybe I'm wrong to feel that way, but no, I feel that way. I feel like they just added that in, and we're like, whatever, this is how it's gonna go, and this plot is very loosely held together anyway, so who cares, I guess.
Always have faith in
Yeah, the green screen is terrible. The CGI in this is terrible. At one point, there's a fireball that Piccolo throws. I think it's a fireball. At first, I wasn't sure if it was a Dragon Ball, and then I was like, oh no, I think that's a fireball, and then he threw it, and then we went down to a town that was already engulfed in flames, and I was like, wait, but we missed seeing... We followed the fireball, but did it actually hit anything, or was this town already destroyed? What's happening? Was that a fireball? What? That's basically, that sound is how I feel about all the CG and the green screen in this film. Adding on to that, the lighting, which does not help. The lighting is also terrible and makes the green screen and that they used look even cheaper because it's not lit well or properly, really. $30 million. This is what you get for $30 million. Lighting that does not match where the light is supposed to be coming from in the scene based on the green screen behind them. Oh yeah, also Chi-Chi's in this. Chi-Chi is, I don't know what's happening with Chi-Chi in this, man. The one thing I will say is that she calls out Goku at one point, and she did sound like Chi-Chi, but it almost feels like they just kind of let these people listen to Dragon Ball somewhat, and then they were like, or made them do that, or they maybe were fans, but they weren't allowed to inform any of the characterization. So there's moments I find where some of them actually really do sound like the characters, except for Goku. I don't think Goku ever sounds like Goku.
First rule is, there are no rules.
Who plays Goku in this? Justin Chatwin. He like looks familiar to me. Canadian actor. He began his career in 2001 with a brief appearance in the musical comedy Josie and the Pussycats. Man, that's a throwback. I remember Josie and the Pussycats. What has he been in recently? Oh, he was in Smallville. That's cool. He was in an episode of Doctor Who. So he's doing some stuff. He's doing some stuff. I see ya. I see ya, Justin Chatwin. I'm not even saying this is even his fault. I don't know if the acting in this is anyone's fault. I don't know if we can blame the actors for this one. Whoever decided to make this movie, for whatever reason they had, I think it was the wrong one. I think that's what it boils down to ultimately. The script is also not great, but the fight that I do like happens between Goku and these goons who basically are trying to like be mean to Goku, and they don't want him to come to the party because they think he's like a loser. And then he promised his grandpa that he wasn't gonna fight anyone, so he fights them by just avoiding them. And I just thought it was like a cool martial arts like fight. And obviously there's flipping all kinds of crazy ways and stuff that you totally wouldn't leap that high. However, I just thought it was a cool little sequence, and I actually did like that. The relationship between Chi-Chi and Goku, though, is kind of really random. Like, she just likes him. Basically, it boils down to she likes him because he used Ki to close a locker or to open a locker. I don't even remember. He used Ki and she saw it and she was like, oh, come to my party. And then he came to the party and then I don't even remember what they talk about. I don't know. I guess they just talk so that we can see them talking so they can have a relationship and it makes sense. And then they fight each other and then she's like, you can stand closer to me if you can use your Ki to like channel your air bending or whatever, because apparently Goku's also kind of becoming and the Avatar. He has to master 3 of the elements. So he's one element away from becoming the Avatar. And so he's practicing that and she's like, you can step closer to me each time, and then after they kiss and then they're in love. There's also a relationship between Bulma and Yamcha for some reason. I guess because he's a dude bro and Bulma's hot. I mean, Bulma is hot and Yamcha is a dude bro, so I guess that's just how that works. It's also very shoehorned in there, especially since Bulma initially seems to really dislike Yamcha, and likewise. But I guess people that hate each other love each other secretly. that old gimmick. The timeline for this also keeps speeding up. So they're basically like, we gotta stop Piccolo. Piccolo's coming. And it's like, we've got 2 weeks, we've got 7 days, we've got 3 days, it's tomorrow. And that just keeps happening without anything else actually happening to advance the plot of the story. Like, there's a training montage at one point, but I think that's about it. So it's one scene happens and then apparently a bunch of time has passed. But we don't know what it was spent doing. I guess finding Dragon Balls. So that is a weird part of this movie. And Piccolo. Piccolo is ridiculous. Piccolo is just a guy who's green. He wants to destroy the Earth because I guess earlier he tried to do that and it didn't work. So now he really wants to destroy the Earth even more because it's like the one that got away. Like, he's just looking at all these planets he's destroyed and taken over as a warlord, and he's like, but that one
Earth, it's always escaping me. I just want to destroy Earth.
So yeah, he's just obsessed for no real reason. I guess Earth's like the hottest planet. Like, he was like, I just want to get in there and destroy that planet. I don't know why. So he also, when he throws that fireball that I was talking about earlier, he destroys this, what appears to be like a Japanese village, I think. But it also looks like it exists in the past, and then I wasn't clear when that scene was supposed to have happened. Like, was that in the past or was that in the present? But I think it's supposed to be the modern day. There's a woman, she has a Dragon Ball, and like Piccolo's hench lady comes down and takes the Dragon Ball from her. And then she is a little girl, and it's implied like she has to, I don't know, give the Dragon Ball over to protect this little girl that she stowed away like under the house that they were in that just got knocked down by the, I guess, the fireball. And so she gives the Dragon Ball over, and then I think she gets shot. I think she gets killed. But then later, I feel like we saw that same woman. I don't know if we saw that same woman or if I'm just imagining that because she was dressed all old-timey. But she comes back at the end. Oh, we'll get to the end in a minute. I don't know what happens to the little girl. I don't know if that is actually supposed to be the present day. And if it is the present day, why is this village set in the past? In terms of everything else feels advanced, but these people feel like they live in like a village that doesn't have electricity. I guess some people are like that. I don't know what's happening. So that little girl, we never find out what happened to her. She's, I guess, still under the floorboards or something. Because that never gets resolved. And then I'm like, why was that even set up? I guess it's the reason she has to give her the Dragon Ball. Otherwise, she'd just run away. I don't know. They set up a sequel. So at the end, basically, Goku defeats Piccolo and doesn't need the Dragon Balls to do that. So then Roshi dies. And instead of using the Dragon Balls to bring back his grandfather, who he loved, he brings back Roshi, who he just met and has been training with him for a few days, who his grandfather told him to find. Which I guess he was like, yeah, I mean, like, I know I've known my grandfather my whole life, but this guy, he's cool, and I just met him, so let's bring him back. Roshi's got a lot to live for. So they bring him back, and Roshi's like, yeah, your granddad said, like, basically, like, you gotta go, I, like, just got there, and then he was like, get out of here. Maybe his granddad was just like, I don't want to take care of Goku anymore. Just pass it off to Roshi. Hope he calls Roshi back to life, not me. Oh, fingers crossed. I don't know what Gohan's life was like. Maybe that's what he's thinking, though. So, they defeat Piccolo, but then it's revealed at the end, oh, Piccolo's in bed, and he wakes up, and he's like, oh, I survived. Ha 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 ha! He's being nursed back to health by maybe the lady whose village was destroyed, who was killed, and maybe his henchwoman is like, is like a shapeshifter, because there's one point she creates a version of Chi-Chi from like a blood sample that's like her evil self, so I don't know, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. And why did we set up a sequel? Did it ever happen? I'm gonna look it up. Cancelled. Right. Why the sequel was canceled? I can tell you why. It's called The Movie. I read it. It was a box office disappointment. Disappointment? I don't even know how it made any money. Nobody wanted Dragon Ball Evolution 2. Yeah, that seems probably true. So, no sequel. But it's teased, if you wanted that. You probably didn't. I know I didn't. Well, that's basically my thoughts on this film. What would I give it out of 5? Honestly, 1 or 0 Dragon Balls. There were no Dragon Balls found for me in this movie. If I could have a wish, my wish would be that I did never find out that this movie existed, because then I thought, that looks so ridiculous. I want to watch it, and then I watched it, and now I'm talking about it, and I regret my choices. Well, hope you enjoyed this review, this retro review. Let me know if there are more of these that you guys want me to do, more movies you want me to go back and watch, good, bad, whatever, just average. And I would love to go back and watch some of them, because I love watching movies and nerding out about stuff. All right, that's it. Bye. Stay nerdy.